guys, this is the DJI Mavic Pro, arguably one of, if not the best, travel-sized, super high-quality consumer-grade drone that you can buy today. First off, this is not in any way a paid advertisement. We actually bought the Mavic Pro directly off the DJI website together with the Fly More combo. I just loved using the drone so much over the last few months that I really wanted to make a review for it. Secondly, just a few days ago, DJI released the Spark, which might offer you a smaller, more fun-sized alternative to the Mavic Pro, but I haven't gotten my hands on one of them yet, but hopefully I will soon. The DJI Mavic Pro is extremely compact and lightweight compared to other drones, weighing in at just over 700 grams, including the battery and propellers. It features a 12.35 megapixel camera capable of capturing videos up to full 4K, a resolution of 4096 by 2160 pixels at 24 frames per second. The lens has a fixed focal length of 28mm and an aperture of f2.2. This gives you a nice and wide field of view without the distortion that you see in your typical GoPro footage, as well as that really nice blurred background effect for close-up shots. You can also shoot still images with the Mavic Pro, both in JPEG and RAW formats at a resolution of 4000 by 3000 pixels. The camera itself is attached to a 3-axis gimbal that offers great mechanical image stabilization even on pretty windy days. Quite frankly, the Mavic itself already manages to hover nice and steady, and with the additional camera stabilization you can get some really nice and smooth drone shots. You can also aim the gimbal remotely, aiming smoothly between anywhere from straight ahead to straight down, and you can look either horizontal or vertical. The DJI Mavic Pro itself you can control either via the remote controller, into which you simply hook your phone for full control as well as live preview while you're flying, or directly via Wi-Fi using just the phone. The effective range for the controller is 4 kilometers in an unobstructed and interference-free environment. Realistically, I usually got about 500 to 1000 meters out of the drone, but then again I did fly it around Melbourne and the Bay where there is quite a bit of interference, so I probably wasn't in an ideal environment to really push the range. On Wi-Fi alone you won't get much further than about 80 meters distance, but it might be good enough for some really cool drone flyover or tracking shots. In terms of speed, the DJI Mavic Pro can get up to a staggering 65 kilometers an hour on a good day when operating in sport mode. However, I usually fly the drone in position mode where the max speed is limited to 36 km an hour. The reason I prefer to use position mode over sport mode is that the Mavic is actually equipped with a forward and downward vision system, and it will automatically avoid obstacles while flying in position mode. Here's a clip of me actually trying to ram myself. Notice that the DJI Mavic Pro automatically stops to avoid the obstacle using its forward vision system. When you enable sport mode, which you need to turn on via a physical switch on the remote controller itself, obstacle avoidance is disabled on the Mavic, so use at your own risk. Another benefit of position mode over sport mode is that the Mavic will use the GPS to stabilize and hover more smoothly. The Mavic Pro is rated to reach a crazy maximum altitude of 5000 meters above sea level. However, in most countries the legal limit is 120 meters before you enter restricted airspace, and the Mavic will automatically stop when it reaches its configured maximum altitude. The battery for the Mavic Pro clips directly into the body of the drone, and on a single charge in good weather will keep you flying for up to 27 minutes. The Mavic is smart enough to notice when the battery levels are getting low, and it will automatically return back to its starting location to avoid running out of juice. This automatic return to home behavior also kicks in when the Mavic loses connection to the remote controller. The very first time that happened I had a minor heart attack. My live view froze, then the screen went entirely black and all I could see was that little RC signal lost message. However, usually after a couple of seconds the drone will reconnect, as it has automatically commenced its return to home program and come back into range. While not a fun experiment, after a while you do get to trust that the Mavic will sort itself out and start to return back home in case anything goes wrong. On one side of the DJI Mavic Pro you will find a microSD card slot supporting cards with a capacity of up to 64 GB. However, you will need to get yourself a Class 10 UHS-1 card to get the speed required to record at full 4K. Also, once or twice I did get that microSD card stuck in its slot and I had to use small pliers to pull it out gently, but since then I hadn't had any issues. On the other side of the Mavic is a micro USB connector. You can connect the drone directly to your computer to access the videos and images on the microSD card. Personally though, I prefer to just eject the card and plug it into a card reader on my PC. When we purchased the Mavic Pro from the DJI website, we decided to buy it in combination with the Fly More combo. In the package for the DJI Mavic Pro you will find the Mavic Pro drone itself, the two top propellers, the bottom ones are already attached, the remote controller, different cables to connect your phone to the remote controller, user manuals and warranty information, a USB to micro USB cable to charge the remote controller, and the actual charger. The charger also contains a USB slot where you can charge the remote controller directly. A fully charged battery for the DJI Mavic Pro will, on a good day, last you about 27 minutes. Now, that may not be a whole lot if you're somewhere truly epic and you want to really get some more shots in without having to return back home and charge up your batteries. For that reason, we also purchased the Fly More combo from DJI. The Fly More combo contains primarily two additional batteries, a battery charger hub allowing you to charge up to 4 batteries simultaneously, a car battery charger for when you're on the go, a battery power bank adapter, 2 spare propellers just in case you get a nick in the ones that come with the Mavic, and on top of that, the Fly More combo also includes a small shoulder bag that I can easily fit into my carry-on luggage, and into this bag I can fit the Mavic Pro drone itself, 2 spare batteries, the remote controller, and some spare propellers. This is usually all I'll take with me when we go out for the day and I want to film some epic 4K aerial footage. Okay, so now what is great and what is not so great about the DJI Mavic Pro? First, let's start with the things I love. The Mavic Pro is super lightweight and compact, easy to travel with, and it takes me less than 2 minutes to get set up and get it into the air. Simply unpack, unfold, plug the phone into the remote controller, start the app and connect to the drone, then calibrate the Mavic, and finally launch it into the air. The footage is absolutely epic. The Mavic shoots beautiful, stable, super high quality footage even when it's windy. It's easy to control once you get a hang of the remote controller, and it's just a whole lot of fun. I love the fact that the Mavic is indeed very intelligent. Obstacle avoidance is great, though it might not save you if you ram into a building while panning sideways. Oops, didn't see that one coming. And I love that it returns back home if the connection is interrupted or the battery levels run low. It greatly reduces my stress when flying such an expensive piece of gear. I love all of the additional modes the Mavic has. You can, for example, tell it to track a moving subject and the Mavic will just keep following it automatically, creating those really nice and smooth tracking shots. You can also use it to pivot and circle around your subject for those iconic shots that you often see in the movies. And yeah, it's just a hell of a lot of fun to fly. Okay, so now let's move on to the things I don't love about the Mavic Pro. For one, there are quite a number of different situations in which your footage will not turn out as good as you would have expected due to a number of different reasons. While flying forward, especially at higher speeds, you can often see the front rotors come into the shot at the top because the drone leans forward to maintain speed. In this different example here, it took me a second to realize that the flickering that you're seeing is actually caused by the shadow of the propellers hitting the lens. This is simply caused by the sun being at an about 30-degree angle to the lens. Something to definitely keep in mind when you think about which shots you want to capture and at what time of day. Unfortunately, even at fullest brightness, the screen on my iPhone doesn't always clearly show me these types of issues with the footage, and you may not find out until you check those shots out at home. Battery life isn't great, which is why I would always recommend getting the Fly More combo. Well, it's actually pretty good for a drone, but for a device that is this much fun to fly, 27 minutes, which is realistically just around 25 minutes before the Mavic wants to return home due to low battery levels, really doesn't feel like all that much. Be prepared to tweak the remote controller settings a little bit in the Mavic GoPro app to get some smoother pans. By default, the gimbal controls can be a little bit sensitive, and this can lead to some jerky movements when you're trying to get some of the more complex shots. But then again, that might simply be a matter of practice. Finally, do note that the Mavic Pro is not waterproof. Personally, I wouldn't even fly it through overly thick mist. The body of the drone actually contains liquid indicators, and if you return a broken drone to DJI and those indicators are tripped, your warranty will be off. Anyways, you will get the best drone footage on a good weather day, so that is really when you want to be flying it. In summary, I really love the DJI Mavic Pro. It is super easy to travel with, fun to fly, and you can get some epic aerial footage out of it. Just make sure you read up on the drone laws for whichever country you're planning to fly in before you take to the air. So with all of that in mind, if you do have a little bit of money to splurge, I can highly recommend go check out the DJI Mavic Pro, or maybe even its younger and smaller brother, the DJI Spark. And that's all I have for you today. I really hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please consider subscribing if you want to see some more videos just like this one, or show your support by liking, favoriting and sharing it with the world. Now let's wrap this up with some more footage from the DJI Mavic Pro, but before we do, I just want to say thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I will see you later.